Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning.
Millie's here.
Hello, hello. Happy Saturday morning. I'm delighted to have you on Ascend Your Path. This is amazing. We got Lucy all the way from Mexico. Hey, Lucy.
Good morning. Good morning. How are you? Thank you.
Good, good, good. And we got Jenny, our Guru Sisters. We're amazing. Miriam, thank you for supporting. And Shola, Jay. Thank you, Jenny. I mentioned Jenny,
Look
Emma,
at Miriam. She looks
iPhone.
different today.
Yes. Nancy, welcome, Nancy. Okay, so for the ones first timers, I just want to welcome you to Ascend Your Path. This is a safe space for speakers to share their message and to shine. And professionals, non-professionals, this is your space. We host Ascend Your Path once, but we used to do it, we went to twice a month. Now it became a little too much. So we went back to the last Saturday of every month. And we've been doing this from heart. It's really a passion project. And it's been, I don't know, almost 5 years. And it's always, I learn something every time from the speakers. And people always tell me, thank you for hosting this. This has been the best one. So each one we get better and better. And today we have three amazing speakers, and I call it the UK invasion. All three of them are from the UK. And also I'm going to be introducing our voice coach, Millie Mabelle, who now resides in Denver, but she's also from the UK. So
Wow.
it's total takeover. So I'm truly excited, and I know this is Thanksgiving season over here, and people are getting ready for the Christmas holidays. So I'm excited as people come on. I know it's going to be coming in one by one, but to save time, I just want to say I appreciate you all so much for joining. I don't take this time spent with us lightly because you could be doing whatever you want to do on this beautiful Saturday morning. So I just want to thank you. I want to ask Olga, is there anything, housekeeping rules you want to talk about before we go in?
Just a couple of housekeeping rules. Welcome, first of all. My name is Olga, and I am Diane's partner in crime. And we are going to run for about 2 hours from 10 a.m. to noon Eastern time. We are not going to have any break, so if you have to take a break, do it whenever you would like. Every speaker is going to be talking for the time allocated to that speaker. And please keep your questions to the end for that speaker, or you can post your questions in the chat. We are going to note them and ask them after the speaker is done.
So we have a little bit of a change here. So we're going to work with Hilary's talk is a little unique. So we're going to be asking Hilary some questions in between because she has a unique perspective on her presentation. So we're going to make an exception there. We also want to say, I want to introduce a new addition to Ascend Your Path. So let me give you a little background on this, how this came about. After doing Ascend Your Path, which I said is a passion project of mine, I realized we had so many speakers come on, professionals, non-professionals, and I kept saying there's something missing. So it's like, how can we, the newbies, the new speakers, the ones who want to take this journey to the next level, how could we serve them best? And with that being said, I was introduced to Millie Mabelle. And Millie is an amazing voice coach when we're collaborating on a program called Ascend Your Voice. So Millie's going to talk a little bit about that for the next 10 minutes. And then before we introduce our next speaker. So Millie, the floor is yours. Olga, are we going to, if we could share the flyer a little bit. Do you have the flyer? But
Yeah,
you can share it a little bit later. But Millie,
yeah.
let's bring to the stage Millie Mabelle.
Hi guys, I'm going to put my timer on so that I change my view so I can see all of you. It's great to see you. Thanks, Diane, for the welcome. And it's really lovely to see Lucy again. I'm so looking forward to getting to your podcast. I recently had someone help with marketing and we're getting all that stuff sorted. So great to see some of familiar faces. My name's Millie Mabelle, and my background, I'm a coach, and my background back in London was that I used to work in theatre. So I was on the stage, I was a classically trained singer and a member of British Actors Equity. And when I transitioned to coaching and teaching, I realized that a lot of speakers were trained in how to do a pitch and all of the content of the pitch, but not the delivery. And having done my master's degree was from RADA, which is a drama school, the Royal Academy of Dramatic Art, having studied there and done a lot of other vocal training and training in how to be on stage, how to have presence, I realized that was really missing. So I started working with speakers to train their voices so that they could really powerfully, have not just project in large auditoriums, but really have voices that were really pleasant to listen to and had a lot of, the variation that a trained actor would. I don't know about you, but when I'm listening to speakers, if somebody has a lot of tension in their voice, or they're speaking on a monotone, or I feel like I'm being sort of preached at, I just switch off. It just isn't interesting to me. So I started working with speakers to really support them to have a way of delivering that was engaging. And the other part of that was how to have stage presence, because all sorts of things happen physiologically when we're nervous, when we're feeling a bit scared. And when you go out into an auditorium with whether it's a couple of hundred people or a couple of thousand people, then sometimes those physiological things can really take place. It can feel scary or very different because that's not something you're used to doing. So I support people to really be able to own the space, take up the space in a way that is powerful so that they're actually looking forward to being on stage. The other aspect of what I bring in, a lot of my coaching has a real psychological depth to it. I'm a rapid rewire method advanced coach, and I came to that after 10 years of executive coaching when a series of things happened, including my house burning down in a wildfire and nearly dying in it, that meant that I had a really strong kind of PTSD response. And I found that the regular coaching protocols and other work I was doing, nothing was really helping them. And so I discovered these protocols, which were very, very good at transforming emotional states. So I went from being quite traumatized and not sleeping very well in a very short space of time to being able to really recover. And I learned how to use those protocols with other people. So they can be very good at supporting you with your confidence, supporting you through any kind of psychological blocks like imposter syndrome you might have, like, who am I to do this speech? Who am I to be the person out there in this large auditorium selling this book or doing this talk? And I would say, who are you not to be? And we will do some exercises in terms of looking at what you've already built and how you might be the perfect person to share what you're sharing. Because if you have a calling in your heart and a desire and a passion to share something, it is absolute law in this time space reality that there will be at least someone who wants to hear it, and probably a lot more than one person. So you have that calling in your heart for a reason. And the work that we do together supports people to get in touch with that part of their heart. And I'd even say their soul and their spirit that really wants to deliver so that we can be the vessels for life's energy coming through us to share what it is we're supposed to be sharing. And the people that I work with, I'm always, always fascinated with how unique their journey is and their story is. And then the message that they want to share is specifically through the journey and the experience that they've had. So I do want to allow time for questions. So I won't talk for that long, but I want to share a little bit about what we'll be doing. As somebody who I've taught yoga for many years as well, I have two separate accreditations with Yoga Alliance at 200 hours. I taught Reiki energy healing for 15 years, which is a huge passion of mine and goes incredibly well with voice work, and I can share briefly why. And I taught meditation and mindfulness meditation, including in corporate settings in London and yoga schools and things in the US as well. So the workshops that I do and the retreats that I love to do, and I'm so delighted to partner with Diane with this and Olga, is really the 2 day format in person is going to be really special. So it's going to start with some very gentle yoga type movements that anybody can do, no experience necessary. I'm used to working with people with all sorts of levels of ability. And we'll start with very gentle movement. We'll incorporate guided meditations. We'll incorporate journaling so that you've got time to integrate the practices we're learning. And there'll be powerful breath work because a lot of effective speaking is being able to use your breath effectively and really connect and engage with diaphragmatic breathing. So there'll be powerful breath exercises which support you in every area of your life. Actually, people will say, "Oh, that was incredible for my nervous system, relaxation and regulation." So there's a lot of breath work. Then there'll be voice work, which works with the tone of your voice. And there'll be time to work in partners and in small groups and practice and hot seat specific aspects of your course and the speech that you have, the talks that you have in your own programs. There's an additional day that Dan and I want to bring to you for people who would like to learn or go deeper with Reiki energy healing. So, Rei means light, and Qi is energy, like Qi. If you think of Qigong, something like that. And it's a very simple practice that anybody can do. I've never met anyone I haven't been able to teach, where your body is literally a vessel for life force energy coming through you. And it comes through your crown chakra and the top of your head and it sort of spiral and comes out of your hands. And the way I work is that I give people attunements that open up their centers or chakras, just literally is a Sanskrit word, it means wheel, the center. And in the attunements we're going to do in the 1 day, one is going to be for the heart, to open up the heart, and one is going to be for the third eye. The third eye is often what yogis refer to as part of intuition. Here, it actually corresponds with the pituitary gland, which is the master gland of the body. It controls the endocrine system. And so opening up these two centers can be a very powerful experience. And at the end of that workshop, or quite early, within a few hours of the workshop, you will be able to channel Reiki energy healing through your own body, out of your hands for yourself and for your loved ones, your animals, your pets, your family, and so on. It can be a really, really lovely experience, very cleansing for yourself, and be able to use Reiki anytime, anywhere on demand can just be a lovely adjunct to whatever you're doing in your day. It can help with pain regulation, which has been amazing for me in my life. On my website, I share different stories about my own journey with that and things I've experienced. And it can be wonderful for enhancing intuition. So there's going to be a day of that. And I'd like to open the floor for any questions you have, but really it's going to be a really profound, wonderful couple of days where we're going to get to really dive deep into some of these protocols and practices. And it's very practical, it's very immersive. And we will give you tools, and I'm just checking my timer. We will give you tools so that you have things that you can do afterwards as well and ways to keep in touch. When you sign up to the 2 day workshop, then you additionally will get a 1 hour group sessions with me, and we'll work together in a group with people who have signed up at that point. You also get a 1 hour one-on-one Zoom class with me, just you and me going through your talk and working with your specific physiology of voice and so on. And I hope to be back. I expect to be back in some of the Ascend Your Path sessions as well to share more. I'd love to open the floor. We have about 1 minute left for any questions that anybody has.
So, Millie, thank you so much for that explanation. And I know the work that you do is so amazing. And the testimonials that came out of it is so great that I know Kristen is here and she's in your training, and that's all she talks about.
Oh,
How amazing how the transformation she's having.
she's wonderful. I love having her in the class. She's so
Yes.
charismatic.
So one of the so what Millie is referring to is that we put together a program. And I said, this got birthed from, we saw there was a need for not just speakers, but just for people in general to really hone their voice, to really embody that voice, and lean into it. Whether it's in the boardroom, whether you're going on an interview, whether you're working with your family, to say, this is my voice. And which Millie's going to elaborate a little bit on, which I'm going to ask her which I learned from her, our body stores trauma and it affects our voice. So our program is called Ascend Your Voice. And we have a flyer on that. We're going to talk more about it. We don't really market things on this platform, but we just wanted to introduce this program because it's got birthed from here. And to go into live speaking, because that's the next phase for us. I'm planning something for with Forbes Riley, and which is going to be in Florida next year, which you're going to piggyback off of what we're doing with the 2-day intensive with Millie. I'm doing an in-person with Forbes Riley, and the following Sunday. So speakers, you get to test your knowledge and work at it and take it to that next level. You know, I see Lucy have a question. Lucy?
I'm unmuting myself. Thank you. Thank you for calling me. Diana, I do have a question. Actually, the reason I had clicked on the link and I was looking through your 2-day intensive workshop. The first question that came to my mind, I was trying to look for the dates, and then I was trying to look for where you were going to have this retreat. So I never got to that information. You may have said it, but I don't.
So we haven't had the dates are not concrete yet, but the dates we're looking at is April the 30th to May the 2nd. So that's going to be, we're looking at Clearwater, Florida.
Okay.
And which I think is the 30th should be a Thursday. Was it Thursday? Checking in on Thursday. Friday, Saturday is the 2-day intensive. Thursday would be the VIP. So you check in on Wednesday. And the Sunday we're gonna meet with Forbes.
Oh, okay, great. So you and I met with Forbes. So I just love your energy. I love Forbes' energy. And so it's going to be, for what I understand, a wonderful experience. Thank you.
It certainly will be.
I'd love to have you there, Lucy. It'd be fantastic.
I know, and I'd love to feature you on my podcast so we can market this and get it out to the public, to more
I
people.
would love that. I just hired someone who's helping me with all the online stuff that I have no idea about. So once I've got that underway, I will get back to you because
Okay,
she's going to
great.
help me with, help your VA to sort all that stuff. I'm really looking forward to it.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. And there will be, Diane and I Diane, we might do a 1-day, we're talking about doing a 1-day Zoom as well for people who maybe can't make the in-person. So that will kind of have its own format, but there's a lot that we could also do online in like a 1-day intensive Zoom retreat from your living room if you can't make the live. But yeah.
So thank you. So we're going to talk a lot more about this whole program. So it's a 4-month program, okay? And there's a cost to it, obviously. And so we don't sell here. So we're gonna send it out an email, and we're probably gonna, take a day where we're gonna dedicate that day into introducing, launching Ascend Your Voice. So we just want to give everybody a heads up on what's to come and introduce you to Millie. And it's gonna be amazing. I know Millie the way she trains is spectacular. So Millie, thank you for joining us this morning. And it's early hours for you out there in Denver.
Yes, it's snow on the ground early Saturday morning, so I'm going to get out of the snow. But yeah, it's great to see
Appreciate
you
you.
all.
So any quick questions, laser questions that you have for Millie or anything you want to ask? Okay, remember voice training is not just for speakers, it's for everyone who has a voice.
Yeah,
Anyone who speaks.
so
Okay.
true.
So
Thank you,
thank you,
Diane.
Millie.
Thank you so much. Much love. See you soon.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye. So now I'm going to introduce my first speaker of the day. We went a little over, but we're going to keep it moving and respect time. So I want to introduce you to our first speaker. Her name is Hilary Dewhurst. Hilary is an advocate of joyful aging. At 72, she focuses on staying fit and healthy, believing in constant self-improvement and change. Hilary was born in England, and at 27, she took a 2-week vacation to Las Vegas with friends. Unexpectedly, Hilary remained living in Las Vegas for 6 years. The first 18 months in the U.S. were difficult for her, and she's going to tell you more about that. She was unhappy, but that experience birthed huge transformation for Hilary. She explored Hilary explored many different paths. You know what? While she was feeling unhappy, she explored many different paths and then had a spiritual experience that changed her life. The remaining 4 years and a half in Las Vegas became the happiest time of her life. Eventually, she returned back to the UK. She's now passionate about motivating others to live a healthy and vibrant life through fitness and lifelong learning. She loves talking about health and educating others on improving their well-being. In her free time, she enjoys strength training, walking, and socializing, and working out with her favorite weight trainer, Andy. And she's going to be offering a free gift about, I'm not going to steal the thunder. I'm going to save that for Hilary. So I just give you, remember that name, Andy. Hilary, the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you. I just want to say to Olga and Diane, thank you very much for giving me this opportunity to speak. It's my first time speaking publicly. Well, it's not, but to an audience in America. It's my first time speaking. And thank you for everybody who's joining today, because I know you've had Thanksgiving and it's a very, very busy time. So thank you for joining. And I would like to share 3 life-changing experiences that happened in my life. So I was brought up in Lancashire, England, in a village in the countryside, and I always wondered why I was different. My family, they were business people, but I always felt a bit unhappy, not realizing that it was all from trauma. When I was 2.5, I drank some poisonous water. I got typhoid. And I was in hospital. I nearly died. The doctors, it was so rare for anybody to get typhoid, but we were living with my grandma, and there was a barrel of water in a garden where probably rats dropped in or whatever. It was just water, and I drank some poisonous water. So when I was 2.5, I was in isolation hospital. I cried so much that they said to my mother, you can't see her anymore. So I was isolated for 6 weeks. And apparently when I came out of hospital, I wouldn't let my mother out of sight. And so unknown to me, that trauma carried through my life, but I didn't understand that. And I didn't understand why in my childhood, my sister, who was 2.5 years older, was always so happy. We had a donkey. There's somebody talking there, sorry. So I didn't understand. There's somebody talking, Diane. Okay. So I didn't understand that, I had a lovely childhood, but I wasn't happy. And so then I left Lancashire, went to the Channel Islands, a very, very beautiful island, very quiet island in between England and France, lived there 9 years. I didn't actually really appreciate it. I felt empty. I thought, I've got to find love. I'm going to find love in my life. I felt there was a void. So anyway, in Guernsey, people are very, very wealthy. A lot of people retire, they're millionaires. So these friends of mine, they had property in Florida, and they said, look, Hilary, I said, I'm fed up of living in Guernsey. I can't bear the thought of going back to England because it rains all the time. So they said, we'll get you a job in Florida. We'll get you a job as an au pair in Florida. So I said, okay, great. I was 27. I thought that sounds exciting. Always wanted to go to America. So they said, but we're stopping in Las Vegas at the Hilton Hotel for 2 weeks holiday. And so went to the Hilton. In the swimming pool, I met a girl called Debbie. She was at the same stage as life with me. She was unhappy. She wanted to find love. And she basically persuaded me not to go to Florida. So I ended up living in Las Vegas. And for the first 18 months, I started eating when we were at the Hilton Hotel. And I just carried on eating, and I became very, very, and I think it was the unhappiness. I just kept eating and comfort eating. And then I was also a smoker, so I was addicted to cigarettes. And I started searching spiritual paths, going to different spiritual things. And then 18 months, I felt rock bottom, because I just felt my life was totally out of control. And I met this lovely, wonderful old lady. Well, she was my age, and I thought she was very old. She was 72. And she, a Jewish lady, a German Jewish lady, and she said she was taking me to church. I thought it was very interesting that it was Valentine's Day, Sunday, Valentine's Day, 1982. And I'd always been looking for love. So she took me to this church and everybody looked very happy. They all had Bibles. The music was absolutely wonderful. I didn't understand anything at all. And it was in a shopping centre and there was no statues, no pews. And I thought, well, this is different. But everybody looked very happy. And I heard a very simple gospel message preached that the Bible says you can't see the kingdom of God unless you're born again. So I said a very simple prayer. I asked Jesus to come into my life. And from then on, the inner healing started. I didn't know that it was like an onion. So the rejection, the trauma, the different relationships I'd had searching for love. I had different relationships in my life. And it was just, I knew that God loved me. I absolutely knew I found this love. And I also, the people in the church were so full of love. So from being, Las Vegas became the worst place in my life, I would say it's the best place. I've got very close friends there. I've been back a couple of times. I plan on spending a lot more time back there. So that was the first transformation. I became a Christian 43 years ago, and I've been a dedicated Christian since. I work in my church, which I absolutely love. The first scripture I heard was, as a man thinks in his heart, so is he. And I thought, as a man thinks, and I thought, I'm fat, I'm ugly, I'm a failure. And so for the first time, I learned about words, the power of our words. The Bible says death and life are in the power of the tongue, and you shall eat the fruit of it. So I started changing my words. And I'm always speaking words. I'm always speaking words that I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. The joy of the Lord is my strength. So that was the first transformation. So 6 years later, I went back to the UK. I moved into the family home where I was a child and showed my parents that I was now not the black sheep of the family. I'd changed. And so that was that. Then, so when I was 44 years old, I really felt I wanted to work for the local council, the town hall. I wanted to get this job, first point of contact for all council services, dealing with prisoners, dealing with domestic violence, dealing with every kind of person that walked in the council, because I felt passionate, as I'd learned in the Christian church, about helping people. And I could see people's lives transform. People that had been in prison were actually changed and transformed. And I thought, I want a job helping people. I want to see that. So I just thought, I want to work for the council. And I did. I went and got a job 28 years ago. That's the job I'm actually in now. So from my teenage years, I'd suffered with acne. So the doctors had me on permanent antibiotics. So at this stage in my life, 44, I was having permanent antibiotics. My job was extremely stressful because we were having training nonstop. I was living in an apartment. The neighbours above were taking drugs. So the antisocial behaviour, the music, my sleep was completely disrupted. So my health was going downhill very, very fast, especially with this long-term antibiotics. And I love this saying, I absolutely love this saying, when the student's ready, the teacher shows up. And so I thought, I can't keep taking medication. The doctors wanted to put me on more medication. So I started searching. So I started searching spiritually, and that was wonderful. So now I started searching, because we are spirit, soul, and body. And we have to look after our body. So, and I'd been on low-fat diets, which is the worst thing. I'd been on all these sweeteners. I didn't drink water. So then I found all American websites. So I'm very, 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 very grateful. I'm very grateful this is Thanksgiving Day, because all the knowledge, everything I've learned is from America. So there was a wonderful website called The Truth About Cancer. And so I started listening to the truth about cancer, showing how pharmaceutical drugs were so detrimental. Sometimes you need to take them, but how detrimental they can be. And there's all different places, natural health. You can have juice fasting, water fasting, light therapy, many, many different ways, intravenous vitamin C, many different ways of getting healthy. So that was 28 years ago. I can't stop learning. Just recently, I found out about hydrogen water. Hydrogen water is absolutely incredible. I just invested in a hydrogen water filter. People will think, well, what an investment, over $1,500. But I'd rather invest in my health when I find about these things that are really important. Whereas I see a lot of my colleagues at work, they're going on cruises, and a lot of people are being disabled. I haven't had a day off work, haven't had a day off work for years. I haven't been ill. But then I've learned about the seriousness of taking vitamin DK2 and zinc and magnesium and having good quality vitamins. So that was my second transformation, my health. So then when I was 70 years old, I'll be 73 in January. So when I was 70 years old, still working in the same job at the council, loved my job, very grateful because I'm helping people, absolutely love seeing people's lives transformed. That's what I live for. So working at the council, and the girls are saying, Hilary, you look, because I'm obviously one of the oldest still working, Hilary, you look absolutely fantastic. Well, I said, no. I said, I've been Googling these ladies in Germany, in the gym, in their 80s, working out. So I said, I'm going to go back to the gym. I never really liked gyms. I didn't like the music in gyms. I felt them intimidating. And then a young colleague said to me, my husband started his own business, Age Strong with Andy. So I said, give me his phone number. And so Andy, Age Strong with Andy, you can get him on Facebook if you want to look. You can see a photograph of me working out. And so I contacted Andy and arranged an appointment. So I hired Andy as a personal trainer. And it's so, the benefits of, I just want to read this about strength training. Starting at 50 years of age, the body begins a process called sarcopenia, losing between 1 to 2% of muscle mass each year. Studies show that even after 60, 70, and 80 years of age, the body can rebuild muscle, gain strength, recover balance with just 10 to 15 minutes of specific exercise every day. It's not age that steals mobility, it's the lack of the right stimulus. Don't punish yourself, enjoy yourself. Self-love can be kind to yourself. So the third transformation, weight training, and it's so wonderful. Strength training. I was getting in the bath in my late 60s and I thought, oh, maybe I ought to change the bathroom to a walk-in shower. Well, now, nearly 3 years later, I can actually jump in the bath. So I found it really, really exciting because there's so much new knowledge coming out about health. I've got it all from America. Dr. Berg, Eric Berg, is a wonderful, wonderful, he's on YouTube. He talks all about how he used to have so much sugar and made himself ill from sugar. He does live broadcasts. There's so many wonderful websites out there. And I have asked Diana if she can put, I've sent the links over to her. So I've asked her if she could put them up. But hydrogen water. So I was drinking water out of plastic bottles. And I found out how serious plastic gets to your brain, any kind of plastic containers. Then I invested in a Berkey water, all from America. Berkey, B, starts with a B, B for ball, Berkey, a Berkey water filter. That cost me about, in the UK, it's about £350, so it's probably about $600. Invested in a Berkey water filter 6-8 years ago, and then in April heard this wonderful message about hydrogen water, and that will absolutely change your life, hydrogen water. But there's a website you can go on, you can Google it. So I take bottles of water everywhere I go. Last weekend I was in London. I was with a lady who was much younger than me. The so we went to London, we went to a conference, and I took bottles and bottles of water in glass or stainless steel. That's the only way. I don't put anything in plastic. And it was just wonderful to, the girl was a lot younger than me, but I was, moving faster and everything. I just think it's really exciting because I'm surrounded with a lot of people that have had hip replacements, knee replacements, they're on pharmaceutical drugs. And I just think it's really, really exciting that you can take charge of your health. And I do want to encourage people. I want to give a testimony about Andy's first client. So Andy's first client, I'll call his name John. That's not his real name. So he's still with Andy 3 days a week. And he had his spleen removed before COVID. He's a businessman. So when COVID came, he had no immune system. So when COVID came, he ended up in hospital in a coma for 6 full weeks. And they kept him face down. So they didn't think he'd recover, but he did. He came out of hospital. He'd lost the nerves in his feet, but he came out of hospital. And so his energy was zero. And him and his wife decided they would get a taxi to the local town, which is 50 minutes from the house, and that they would start to walk from town. He was able to walk 100 yards, and then they had to get the taxi back. So he kept doing this, just doing as little bit. And then then his wife found Andy on Facebook, and he showed up there. And Andy didn't really think, I don't know if I can help, but the medical people couldn't help him anymore. So Andy thought, I need to help this guy. Well, he's still going. He's back in his business. And it just shows you what you can do if you decide you're not going to give up. You are going to persist and you're going to push through. So I just want to encourage people who may not be exercising to just start small. Just, if I can do what I can do, and I'm 73 in January. I'm 73 in January, and I feel so young, and I feel so excited because I feel healthier than I've ever felt, and that just all this knowledge. There's a scripture in the Bible. It says, "My people perish for lack of knowledge." And I think it's all out there, and God has given us wisdom. We can put, when you put something in your mouth, is this good for you? Is this helping your body? And so I feel very passionate, very, very excited. And so Andy has got such a great sense of humor. We laugh. I have one song. I want to tell everybody about this song. It's called "You Make Me Rich" by Octavia. Now, Octavia is a Christian singer in Florida. The song's called "You Make Me Rich." Now, for me, it's not about it. Money's wonderful, but if you haven't got your health, what have you got if you haven't got your health? So it's about making you rich with good relationships, with wanting the best for others. That's what I love so much about Christianity. The Bible says, love God with all your heart and love your neighbor as yourself. Do unto others as you want to have done unto you. And I know Diane's asked me questions. How do you have so much joy? Well, when you get up in the morning, and I love to get up in the morning and just sit there. I think that first 10 minutes when you get up, don't touch your phone, don't touch your email, just sit. And even famous people tell you this, that first 10 minutes of doing nothing, God will say, right, Hilary, you can do this for a friend, you can do that. And you can have a download from heaven. Anybody can, because the Bible says that God created us and fashioned each one of us in our mother's womb. He's given each one of us unique gifts. And that's what makes your heart sing. What makes your heart? I love telling people about health. I love telling people about hydrogen water, because it's changing my life. Weightlifting, strength training, walking, being around people. The lady who spoke last time on this, she was saying, be careful who your friends are. I want to be around friends that are not eating rubbish. I want to be around friends that challenge me, friends that eat healthy food, friends that are working out, friends that want the best, that want to be a blessing to others. So that's why I feel so joyful. because I think it's really exciting. And the Bible says whatever you do comes back. So you don't do it. You know, whatever you sow, you reap. So, so you don't go out to be a blessing because you're going to get it back. But it all comes back. And the words that you speak. I know the new book. The new book is called title Ascend into Your Power. Well, the Bible, one of the most strong scriptures in the Bible says death and life are in the power of the tongue, and those who love it and indulge in it will eat the fruit and bear the consequences. So if we go around saying good words and building up people, the Bible says build up, edify, let people minister grace to the hearer. So when you go around speaking kind words and being kind to people, how do people know you? They know you by the words you're speaking. So the power says death and life are in the power of the tongue. So I love that scripture. So and it says Proverbs says a man shall eat good by the fruit of his lips. So I don't know how much time we've got left or if anybody's got any questions, but I would like to say I haven't got a business or anything. I have got ideas about having a business. But at this moment, the bosses at the council, I work 3 days a week at the council, and they've asked me to do 4 on a temporary basis. So I said, okay, I'll do 4 for you. So my free gift today is I'm offering 2 sessions for 2 people. There's 2 people can win this. And it's a session with my personal trainer. He's my star, Andy. And Andy himself had cancer. Andy himself had cancer, years ago, probably about 6 years ago. And that's when he decided that he was going to do what he was passionate about. He was going to start his own business. This is Andy, and always smiling, always lovely family man, loves his children, and he's really, really funny. So we laugh a lot. And for the last 3 years, he's been playing my favorite song, You Make Me Rich by Octavia. And also when they sing the song, it says, you make me strong. So when I'm lifting my weights, I'm thinking, and I sing it, I go, you make me strong, you make me strong. And it's got a really good beat. If you want the music, it's got a really good beat to work out to. So that's Andy. So if you would like to, now he's a year older now than he was on that photograph. So you have to guess Andy's age. So the first 2 people to guess his age and put it into my email address, then you will win a personal session with Andy. I will send him your email address and he'll contact you and he'll ask you what goals you want to achieve. And I'm sure he's going to connect with you on WhatsApp. You can have a live connection with him on WhatsApp. He's really funny. You can look at him on Facebook. He's really funny. He's the thing is, he's a very genuine person, and he makes it fun. And also, I've never had an injury. When I used to go to gyms, I used to get injuries. I've never had an injury. I think Diane's got her hand up. She's telling me to stop because I've talked too much. Have I talked too much, Diane? I can't hear you. You're on mute, Diane. Diane, you're on mute.
I know Olga muted me. She said, let Hilary keep talking. But no, I just wanted to say, Hilary,
okay.
I am so grateful, and this is such a generous gift. And your message really resonates so much with me, because what I learned a lot about water and plastic. And I need to be more conscious of the plastic bottles, right? Especially when you store with the heat. Because when we store plastic bottles in the heat, all that, whatever the carcinogens gets filtered into the water.
So it goes to your brain. It goes to your brain. Yes. So I've sent a link to people to see about hydrogen water, and it was saying that the water, tap water, if you drink, it's so poisonous because there's so many medications in it all over. The water is so it's really, really important to have a good water filter. But when you have water in plastic, the plastic actually goes to your brain, and dementia is actually prevented if you're eating the good fats, the really good fats. I was brainwashed on low fat diets. That's what I was brought up on, low fat diets. So I yo-yoed eating the worst foods, sweeteners, which are terrible for you.
So yes, so in essence of time, we want to say Hillary's, okay, anyone who guesses Andy's age before the end of the session and emails Hillary, you'll get 2 sessions. Two people will get an
One session
hour,
each.
our train, but whatever, how Andy wants to work it. Andy's going to reach out to you. But 2 people are going to get Andy to help them with their journey in regards to health. Is that correct?
That's correct. That's correct. Yeah.
Okay. So Hillary, we're gonna put Hillary's email in the chat, and now you'll get make sure you guess Andy's age.
So
Okay.
he's 1 year older now. That was
1 year older now. He probably looks the same or maybe even younger. Okay. So let's just say at 11:45, that's 11:50. We're gonna be announcing who the 2 winners are. Okay, enough?
Yeah. So do you want me to carry on or have I finished?
Oh, Hillary, we don't have that much time, Hillary. So I think we got a lot here.
So is it possible to show the websites that I sent to you?
We're gonna send the websites out in the thank you email.
Okay. Those are websites I've been following. YouTube, I've been following for 28 years that are and they're all American and they're wonderful. So I'm very
any quick questions for Hillary? Now, you could tell Hillary's passionate about her health. I'm really excited.
My life and it can change anybody.
Yes, we have Lucy. Lucy got a question.
Hi, Lucy.
I'm unmuting myself. So thank you, Hillary. It's so wonderful to hear your story. I do believe the health is our wealth, and I just turned the big 80 this year, and so I know that water is really very important.
You look wonderful.
Thank you very much.
Fabulous.
Thank you. And really, I mean, if we don't have our wealth, then we spend if we don't have our health, we spend all of our wealth trying to get healthy. So, it's so important. And so I thank you for sharing your story. It's just a wonderful story. Thank you, Diane, for having Hillary on your show here. And I just contacted you by email, and we'll go from there. Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, we got some competition happening here.
Lucy looks wonderful.
Yes. Olga, is there any questions in the chat? We only have about a couple of minutes, and then we have to move on to our next speaker.
Sandra is asking about that hydrogen water, but Sandra, we are going to send that link in the thank you email, so you will get more information about that.
And they do webinars as well. They do webinars where you can listen and they go through it. So, so important, hydrogen water.
Well, Hilary, thank you so much for this wonderful presentation. It reminded me a lot about the importance of focusing on strength training. Because when it comes to cardio, yes, I love cardio. Strength training, I'm lazy. But strength training works so much better than cardio to help us, especially when you get to a certain age.
I just want to say it's not a quick fix. So I started 3 years ago. I've started feeling wonderful straight away. But the benefits now, 3 years later, and it's just, I can move. The benefits are wonderful. I can clean my car. I can clean my floor, kitchen floor. I can get down on the floor.
Good for you. But thank you, Hilary. Thank you so much. And we look forward to hearing more from you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Jean said strength training is so important. Yes. Jean is also on that strength training journey. So I'm going to move on to our next speaker. Like I said, it's a UK invasion. And our next speaker is Christie Korchak. Christie works with women to enable them to overcome emotional eating and improve their health. She works with conditions like prediabetes, high cholesterol, and hypertension. Her goal is to guide women to become the best versions of themselves. She coaches women to develop habits that support weight loss and overall well-being. With over 30 years of experience in teaching, training, coaching, and training and coaching, Christie has worked in secondary education and colleges across various subjects. Her current coaching draws on her expertise in motivating students and managing teams. She helps women identify their strengths personally and physically. She believes everyone should reach their full potential without limits. Christie is a keen swimmer and swims regularly. She encourages everyone she works with to move their bodies and eat healthy. Let's welcome to the Ascend Your Path stage, Christie Korchak.
Hello, thank you so much, Diane, and thank you, Olga, as well. And that was great with Hilary. In fact, I've travelled 60 miles to come to Hilary's house, and it's really good to hear the story and to hear about Lucy, some of your developments, Diane, and like you, I love cardio and strength training. You do have to make an effort, but it was Andy's influence who said to me, I shouldn't be doing just swimming. I need to do the strength training as well. And he's got me into that. So it's looking after your whole body. So I'm just continuing now with this topic of health. And my title is Hungry for Health. And I got that title, really, I was inspired by Les Brown's book, You've Got to Be Hungry. And he's the American motivational speaker. And you may realize that he is a role model for health. Many years ago, he had stage 4 prostate cancer, and the doctors told him that he didn't have very long to go. And ever since that time, he's recovered and he's a fantastic motivational speaker. He was 80 this year, and he still does seminars and motivates everybody to be healthy and to reach their full potential. He tells everybody you've got greatness in you, which is so true. And he's a living example of someone who's motivating everybody to persevere. And he really stresses that you need to have discipline, which we don't hear about a lot these days. And you're the one who have to make an effort to keep your health in check. And he has so much energy. So have you ever thought of perhaps being a role model for health, or do you feel that you've got so many excuses that you're perhaps too old or you don't know what to do? Unlike Les, who tells everybody that they can be motivated and it's never too old, you're never too old to start. And then there's also from America, we've got Elaine Lelaine, Jack LaLanne's wife, when he was alive. She was 99 this year, and her background is in health and fitness. And Dr. Forbes Riley celebrated her birthday party, and she's on the way to becoming 100, and she's just so independent. So she's a wonderful role model. And Dr. Forbes Riley herself has such vitality and energy that many people who are many years younger would envy. So we've got all these celebrities, and you can think of other celebrities who could be role models to you. But how about getting it closer to home and thinking of people that you know? So in my case, there was a wonderful family friend who sadly died at age 95. But she was my role model because at 85, she was playing tennis 3 times a week. And then when she got into her 90s, everybody was asking her how she kept so young. And she said it was because she didn't like to mix with older people who were constantly complaining about aches and pains. She just wanted to be around young people. And when I was around her, she was always so interested to find out about me and to find out about how I was getting on. She was so other people orientated, and she had so much energy and wisdom to give to people that I would look at her and not realize that she was in her 90s. And I really aspire to be like her. So there's Hilary as well, who spoke today, who's a few years older than me, and also a friend who is precisely 10 years and 1 month older than me. And she's got such joie de vivre. She's really enthusiastic, so fit and healthy that I think, wow, if I can be like that in 10 years' time. And because I used to work with her and I've known her for 30 years, and her husband as well, who sadly died from prostate cancer. But he was, and she is fantastic role models. So have you ever thought of being a role model? And in a small way, I am a role model to some of my coaching clients who I help coach ladies to overcome emotional eating, to improve their health conditions. And Diane's already mentioned about high cholesterol and hypertension. One of my clients no longer takes any medication for hypertension anymore. And another client doesn't take medication for diabetes. And this is all through making lots of tiny changes over time and being persistent and consistent. So I'm pretty fit and healthy, and I have been for some time, but it wasn't always like that, because I did have high cholesterol and I did have pre-diabetes, but a doctor was able to prescribe exercise to me and going to the gym, which I did. I had a personal trainer, a lady at the time, and she helped me to navigate all the machines at the gym. And through diet and exercise, I totally reversed pre-diabetes, also high cholesterol, so got that down to normal. And a spin-off was that I no longer had chronic insomnia. And that was, I think the insomnia came because I wasn't moving my body. So very often we take health for granted, and several people have said already that your health is your wealth. And we all know that if you don't have your wealth, your health, then you can't really do anything. And because I've enjoyed a lot of good health over the years, I'd almost forgotten what it would be like to have no health until about 6 weeks ago. And out of nowhere, I suddenly got constipation, and I knew where it came from. I wasn't drinking enough water, and that's a cue actually to have a quick drink of water, because it's so important to keep hydrated. And I got constipation, and it went on for a week, and I didn't really think anything of it, thought that it was just a phase. And then it went on for a second week, and I don't like taking any medication at all. And I was researching on the internet what I could do. And I'm sorry about the subject matter of constipation, but our bodies are so marvelous that we take it for granted that they get rid of the waste. And when I wasn't able to do that, it was terrible. And then I just got into such a terrible state that I couldn't get out of bed. I had very little energy. And what was at the back of my mind was that I'm doing this talk about being hungry for health. And there I was feeling so ill. So ultimately, I went to the doctor. I did take some Senna tablets, and that did the trick. And I've been fine ever since. But it's just really a heads up to have lots of water. And I didn't have enough at the time. So that's, and now we know about hydrogenated water. That's even more exciting. So anyway, when we're thinking about health, there are so many things that you need to think about, and Hilary's mentioned some about obviously keeping hydrated. So that's what you're drinking, what you're eating. And you, like me, may have thought that you want to concentrate on your health. So you think about what you're putting into your body, about movement and exercise, everything that you can do in terms of sleeping. And if you're like me, you'll start off really motivated, have a long list of things to do. And then the more you try to do in terms of exercise, the more overwhelming it seems to be. And then you miss a day and miss a few exercises, and then you're in a worse state. So this was how I often operated. And then I got very depressed about not keeping up with my health until I heard what Jim Collins, the business leader, said. And he said, if you have more than 3 priorities, you have none. So the main thing is to, if you want to improve your health and achieve lasting transformation, it's not about doing more, it's about doing way, way less and about simplifying. So when I realized that you could just do up to 3 things, you don't even have to do 3 things. Think of just one thing, one habit that you've got at the moment that's not serving you. And what you can do is just swap that habit. And it might take a month, it might take even longer, because UCLA say in terms of habits that it takes 66 days to establish a new habit. And they say 100 days in some variations of the research. So as Hilary said, it's not a short-term fix. And the problem about health, improving your health, is that you can do these things, and working with clients that they can consistently work on making an effort in terms of what they're eating and their exercise, and they may not even see any changes in their body for at least 9 weeks. So it is difficult to think about health, but you need to start with the end in mind. And that's why it's so good to have the role models, but better still for you to think about what you want to be like. So think about your future self. And this is what happens when I start off with clients, that we think about our future self in 8 weeks, because we're together for 8 weeks initially. And we even write a letter, because I join in as well. And I think that this commitment to health will be a lifelong commitment for me, and certainly for many clients, because it can be exciting and it should be fun. And we heard about Andy, how he's always smiling. And I realized over time that I was getting very, very serious. Some days I wouldn't even smile. And I'm sure you've had the same experience, where we feel that we take ourselves and life too seriously. And then this is why it's so easy not to do exercise, because when I was in a very busy corporate job, I would just go to the garage at lunchtime, get a sandwich, and then evenings were that I would just have a ready-made meal and have terrible habits, not do any exercise until I was diagnosed with the high cholesterol. And then I thought, well, how am I going to fit in this exercise? I've got the free membership of the gym and I can go swimming, but how can I fit it into a very, very busy schedule anyway? And this is where I came across habit stacking, because I was already traveling 30 miles to work. And what I realized was that if I could just leave the house a bit earlier, I would miss all the traffic, which I did. I went to the local swimming pool and I did this consistently every day. And it was just, I was going out of the house anyway, so I didn't have to make that specific effort. I just had to go to the swimming pool. And then I would get there by 7 o'clock. And at that time, Dr. Michael Mosley from England had done a lot about intermittent fasting, which is something that I did practice at the time and still do occasionally, because I'm convinced of the benefits. But he'd also done a lot about high intensity interval training. So sometimes if I got stuck in traffic, I might only have 15 minutes at the swimming pool. And habit stacking it just means that if you've got one thing that you already like to do, so for example, or if you have a daily habit. So my habit was that I was going to work anyway, so I could just fit in the swimming on top of my journey to work. And again, it's like, in a small way, habit stacking could be, for example, if you want to go walking, that's one habit that you're doing, but you could also decide to have another habit and that is to listen to a podcast or your favorite playlist. And that adds the interesting dimension to going walking, and it makes it far more enjoyable. So I was able to do something that I was doing anyway, which was going to work. And then I could just, when I thought there's no time that I have for exercise because I've got such a busy time anyway at work, I realized that if I could make a commitment to myself, which I did, and actually keep it, and that was to go swimming every day. And at first it was hard because particularly if it's dark in the morning and everybody talks about, oh, I go to the gym and I do these things as though they find it very, very easy. But just know that it is really, really difficult. And what's interesting is that I don't go to a regular job at the moment. So now when I go swimming in the morning and it's dark, I don't have that incentive. Well, I'm going to work anyway, like a lot of the people at the pool, they just go on the way to their job. I don't do that. So I have to make a special effort to go to the pool. But because I made this commitment to myself, it's something that I really fiercely guard. And I do know that Hilary goes to the gym 3 times a week with Andy, and she blocks out that time, and it's her sacrosanct time. So you really need to make an effort to be able to do all of this. Make these promises to yourself and stick to them. And that's something that Simon Sinek says, that discipline is the idea of making a promise to yourself and sticking to it. And nobody feels like going to the gym, I don't, or going swimming. But once you're there, I've never actually been to the pool and thought when I'm there, I'm sorry I came. It's always absolutely worth going. So this is why it's so good to simplify your life. And when I was doing swimming and going to work, that was when I started to say no to other things because I wanted to guard my time. And so often we don't put ourselves first. And you've heard the expression about you need to have a full cup to be able to operate and really live life to the full. So it's like when you're on a plane and they always say, put your own oxygen mask on first. So if you're able to make an effort yourself to be fit and healthy, then you can help other people, and you might even be a role model for them and help them as well. So I've loved going swimming, still do it. I've even been swimming a mile because the pool attendant told me, he said, do you realise that if you do 64 lengths, it's a mile? And I was getting back into butterfly swimming because that's something that I used to do competitively as a child. And the only reason I decided to do one was that one length of butterfly, I wouldn't do any more. I'd just do most recently a 4x1 medley, which is one length of butterfly, one length of backstroke, breaststroke and front crawl. But one day, another lady from a different pool came into our pool and she did 10 lengths of butterfly. And I said, I can't believe that you've done 10 lengths of butterfly. And she said, you just try doing 2 lengths. She said, you can just stop. And I thought, it's years since I've done more than 1 length of butterfly. But because she said, you can stop and it's fine, I pushed myself to do 2 lengths of butterfly. And then before I realised it, I'd done 4 lengths of butterfly. And this is 100 metres of butterfly. And I couldn't believe it because it's almost like Roger Bannister when people said you couldn't do the 4 minutes mile. And I pushed myself. And what I realise is that sometimes we put all these limits on ourselves. And so now I often do 10 lengths of butterfly. But when the pool attendant said, if you do, it was one day over the half-term break when the pool was open for longer, he said, if if you persist, you can do 64 lengths. So I did, in blocks of 10, I did 64 lengths of butterfly just because I wasn't limiting myself. And I think so often we can limit ourselves in what we're actually doing. And if you push yourself, it's amazing what you can achieve. So I like to think of our health journey as a holistic journey. So think of body, soul, and spirit. And also, if you think of your life as a garden, it can be, you can think that you've got a really beautiful garden, but just think of the flowers, the bushes, but you may have some weeds in there. So when I'm thinking of health, thinking of my life as my body, that's the way that you move. Obviously, everybody sees your body, and it's like the soil in the garden. Your soul is your mind, your will, and your emotions, and you can do things in a practical way to improve your mind. So reading books that are uplifting, and also doing research about health, fitness, and everything else. And then your spirit is your deeper purpose, and that can even be your legacy. So if you're thinking, how do you want to be remembered? I know that in Anne's case, when she did die at the age of 95, she left a fantastic legacy because she was so other people centered. She was so enthusiastic about everything that she did. And that's how I just thought, wow, to be remembered like that. And then all the members of her family talked about her career, and she worked when it was very unusual for women to work. She worked as a domestic health, domestic science teacher. So she was always so interested in the components of food and healthy living. And I learned an awful lot from her. So in terms of habits, what James Clear talks about in Atomic Habits is that you need to make your habits obvious. So for example, if you're going to increase the amount of walking that you do, so to make it obvious, you have to put your walking shoes by the door. And I do that even now with swimming, that the night before I get my sports bag ready, I go to bed at a reasonable time because the pool's open really early. So I've thought about all these things in a practical way, and you have to make your habit obvious, then you make it attractive. So regarding walking, we've already talked about the possibility of having a playlist or even walking with somebody else to make it attractive. And that's why I love going swimming, because it's quite a social occasion. We have the same people at the pool, ladies and men, all the time, and we're always having banter, and we know all about the lives of the other people there. And when one of the ladies was involved in an Indian dancing festival, we all supported her from the pool, and it was a wonderful occasion, and we just have such fun there. And sometimes, as you know, with the lanes, that people end up touching you inadvertently or not. And so there really is a lot of fun and banter, even just with swimming, and likewise with other sports. So habits, according to James Clear, if you make them obvious and then attractive, then it has to be easy. So if you're just starting off, you don't do a walk for about an hour, which is so off-putting. You have to start with 10 to 15 minutes. That's if you are a seasoned walker, or even 2 minutes. So just make it easy. And then when you've actually achieved that, it's something to celebrate and enjoy. And then the final thing that he says is that it should be satisfying. So I've done a lot of work on habits, and you can buy wonderful apps. Some have free aspects to them. And I use Habit Bull, which is about having a streak. And you can also do it on a calendar. Every day you do an exercise, you could just put a cross on a calendar. and it's like gamifying the habit, and it makes it really satisfying because you can look at your streak. And I've done swimming for so many days on end, and I think, wow, I can't believe I've done all these days of swimming. So that makes it fantastic and really, really satisfying. And he said that if you do those 4 things, and he calls it the 4 laws of carrying out habits, that it makes it far more likely that you're able to stick to the habits. And just to know as well that you do need persistence for all of this, and it is absolutely worth doing. So,
Christy, I just wanted to jump in for a second. I know we're running kind of short on time. So I just wanted to give you a heads up on time. So we only get about less than a minute.
yeah, so what I'll just say is that back to Jim Collins, if you have more than 3 priorities, you have none. So what I'd like to say is, well, the first thing is that, and I haven't even touched on it, that I do help ladies to overcome emotional eating. And we use all sorts of things like having a hunger scale. So are you eating because of your emotions, or are you eating because you're thirsty, or are you eating because you're sad, mad, angry, or even glad, happy? So there are things like the hunger scale, and also food mood diary. And I'm sure if you've done anything about emotional eating, you'll know about some of the tools that we use. But I am offering 3 30-minute sessions, and I'm not going to get you to guess my age because that would be far too embarrassing. But the Body Tracks machine says that my metabolic age is actually 15 years younger than my actual age, but I'm not going to go there. Just email me at christiekorchak@gmail.com, and we'll have a proper discussion about emotional eating, because I didn't touch on that. And also, what I would love to do is to throw out the challenge to you to think, what 3 habits, if you did them consistently, would make the biggest difference in your life? So can you actually now think of 3 habits, and ideally 1 habit for your body, 1 habit for your soul, which is your mind, your will, and your emotions, and we haven't really elaborated on that, and 1 habit for your spirit, which is your purpose in life, and it's all about the legacy that you're going to leave. And hopefully you can be a role model for other people in the area of health, because I certainly didn't think that I would be able to swim a mile of butterfly a few years ago, because I wasn't even doing any exercise. So this just shows that if I can do it, and if Hilary can do it, you can do it too. Thank you.
Christy, thank you so much for such a great presentation. And you could hear more about Christy's story in Ascent Beyond Limits. I'm sorry, I got a little bit of a throat issue here. Ascend into your power, which will be published in the next couple of weeks. So you'll hear more about that in her story. And do we have any questions here for Christy? And is she answered habit stacking?
If there are any questions for Christy, please share them now.
Ooh. The phone is always listening.
If not, I would like to say about you'll hear about my personal story in the book that's coming out in December. And in it, I do talk about trauma. And I think that addressing trauma is a very personal thing. And obviously you need to at times have specialists. So I myself have been on the receiving end of cognitive behavioral therapy, and also acceptance and commitment therapy, rational emotive behavior therapy. But for today, I want to leave this today by saying that it's always possible to change your current circumstances, and you don't have to live in the past. You can look forward, because the trauma that I experienced, that you'll read about in the book, could have just defined me as a person. But the best thing is that if you keep that in the past and then move forward, trauma doesn't have to define you. And that's what I loved about Millie, that it's possible to overcome traumatic events and embrace the future.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Christy. And you said so much there, and so much I want to say, but we're so running short on time, and we want to be fair to Dawn and give her full time. So we could any questions you have, we could put it. You can put it in the chat, and we'll have Christy answer it, and we'll get back to you with the answer. Okay, and also don't forget her free gift. Take advantage of that. 3 people, email her, and you'll get a chance to do a one-on-one with Christy. So now we're going to move on to our next speaker, and her name is Dawne Austin. And Dawne is a dynamic speaker, mentor, and women's ministry leader with a passion for empowering women to rise into their fullest potential. Since 2008, she has spoken internationally, sharing messages of hope, resilience, and purpose with diverse audiences around the world. Her journey has taken her on numerous overseas missions, where she has inspired and served communities across cultures and continents. For over 15 years, she has led women's ministry, equipping and encouraging women to walk boldly in their calling. As the founder and coach of the Unstoppable Pathway program, she guides women through transformative growth, helping them overcome obstacles and step into a life of impact and influence. Known for her heartfelt storytelling and practical wisdom, Dawne Austin brings authenticity, faith, fire to every stage she steps onto. Her mission is simple yet powerful: to help women discover who they are, believe in what's possible, and ascend the path towards the life they were created to live. Her topic today is "I'm Not Making It Up, I'm Making It Count. Rise above every limit into the life you were made for." Let's welcome to the Ascend Your Path stage, Dawne Austin.
Wow, thank you, Diane. Thank you so much. That's an amazing introduction. They say don't follow animals or children, and I don't know how I'm going to follow Christine and Hilary, because they were pretty awesome. I'm really happy to be here, and thank you for all of you who have made your time to be here today. I really appreciate it. So, but before we begin, I just want you to do something with me, and I just want you to put one hand on your heart and take a deep breath in and breathe out. And as you breathe out, I want you to hear these words: nothing that you have walked through has been wasted. Not one moment, not one mistake, not one tear, nothing at all. You didn't just survive what happened to you. You were shaped by it. You were forged by it. You were strengthened by it, and you were prepared by it. And so today it's not about who you used to be. Today is about the woman you're becoming, the woman that God always saw in you, even when you didn't. So, as Diane said, my name is Dawne Austin, and for over 15 years, I have led and journeyed with women around the world. But more importantly, I'm someone that's lived through a fair amount of storms myself. And I'm here to tell you with confidence that God wastes nothing. Nothing is ever wasted. So, I think that as women, we carry stories. Some of these stories are spoken, some of them we share, some are hidden, but they're all significant. And for years, many of us have prayed, for things to happen, for breakthrough, and while remaining paralyzed, while we've stood still, because sometimes we get stuck and we get paralyzed by fear. We're paralyzed by perfection. We think that things need to be perfect before we can say that they're done, that they need to be completed and they need to be absolutely perfect. And we're also paralyzed by pressure, paralyzed by the belief that we must be confident before we begin. But the truth is this: faith is not waiting to feel ready. Faith creates readiness. And I'm a firm believer that done is better than perfect, because God doesn't multiply what we wish for while we're standing still. He multiplies when you move forward. And so today I just want to talk through these three things: why nothing that you've lived through is wasted, why the not yet isn't punishment but it's preparation, and why one small step can make you unstoppable. So many years ago, I went on my first mission journey to Southern Africa. I was excited, I was confident, and I was ready to help with my skills, which were admin and practical things, doing the logistics, and something neat, something safe, and something I could control. But the moment I stepped off the plane, something was different. And I knew that there was the potential that everything in my life would change. The air, it was thick with heat. It was so hot, beyond anything that I'd experienced in the UK. But it carried the smell of dust and fire. And my host took myself and my teenage daughter into a cafe at the airport, and she explained everything that they'd been doing. And I was so impressed with what they'd been doing, how they were reaching unreached people groups, and what the plans were for the next few days and the days while I was going to be there with them. I was so excited, and I think I woke up as one of the earliest people, because I was ready and pumped to go the next day into the truck. But as we drove deeper and deeper into the countryside, the truck rattled like it had remembered 1,000 journeys. It was so old, and it was full with people, women with babies on their backs, and older people, and many men, some young and some old. And the red sand that had just coated our hair and our bags as we wound up and around. And I remember thinking, there's surely nothing else, even air, that can get into this truck. But somehow we managed to pick up people and more livestock along the way. And I was also thinking, Lord, how can I help these people? What can I possibly offer? And then hours later, when we stopped in a rural clearing, children ran from every direction, and women sat beneath trees, and their skirts and the brightness of the patterns just flowed in the wind. It was an amazing first sighting of what Africa looked like, and the people that I had gone to help. And when we stopped, everyone jumped out of the truck efficiently, going about doing what they knew to do. And then the truck was empty. It seemed like seconds, and it was empty. And I just stood there looking into the truck. And then I turned around, and there stood a line of 250 people deep in front of me. The line stretched so far, it was blending with the horizon. And my knees started shaking, and my stomach suddenly developed this ache. And then fear didn't whisper, it roared. You're not ready. You're not qualified. You're just a girl from a small South American village. And then the pastor came to me and she placed her hand on my shoulder and she said, come on, Dawne, as if she'd seen something in me that I'd never dared to believe. And that's when the Lord whispered in my spirit, you have been preparing for this for years. Every late night prayer, every disappointment, every silent tear, and every moment that you thought I wasn't listening. All of it built you for this. On that dusty field, praying for 250 people, that was the moment that I realised that nothing is wasted. Not the pain, not the failures, not the heartbreak. All of it becomes seed for purpose. And then there's the not yet. We all carry prayers that haven't been answered yet. That dreams that haven't unfolded yet. And healing that we haven't seen arrive yet. Breakthrough that feels so close, but doesn't seem to be happening yet. And then the enemy whispers, you failed. You've missed your chance. Nothing in your life is changing. But God's voice is much stronger, much more powerful, because he says, I'm working in the not yet. And the not yet is not punishment. It is preparation. It is where your character is formed and where wisdom grows. It's where resilience is built and where your faith allows its roots to deepen so that you can hold the weight of what's coming. The not yet is where God prepares you for the yes. I felt that I couldn't do what I was being asked to do, but I had my best yes and a preparation that had stemmed years, because when I was praying in the dark, that trained me for the prayers that those people needed. When I was crying in secret, it gave me the compassion that I could transfer. And when I heard God respond to me, I knew that if he was real for me, he was real for them. And it's even the messy things and the things that we wish had never happened that we're being prepared. After 17 years of marriage, I found myself in a moment that I had never expected. I was standing in my kitchen and I realised that I was alone and that I had 3 children depending on me and a mortgage bigger than a mountain that I had to climb. And I didn't ask to climb it. I didn't ask to be in that situation. I didn't ask for the floor to fall out on me or for the doors that felt that they were closed. And the silence of being alone after so many years was deafening. But then I heard a child call me from upstairs, Mum. And I knew in that moment that I didn't have time to fall apart. Every day I took my children to school and then I travelled to work on the underground. And I cried to and from work. I didn't cry at work. I didn't cry when my children were around. But I had time during my travel. Strangers offered me tissues regularly. And I just had to grieve. But at night, when everyone was asleep, I would sit on the edge of my bed and I would ask God, Lord, what am I supposed to do now? I have bills piled high. My confidence has hit an all-time low. The nights are long and the house feels too big. And my faith feels small. But I knew that he was working behind the scenes because I woke up every morning and it felt that angels were dressing me. And it felt like they were driving the car and they were navigating the routes that I had to take and the conversations that I had to have. After time, the organizational skills that I used to run my house turned into leadership. And the way that I fought for my kids at school, going to the lone parents' evening, when the hall is filled with two-parent families, and there you are, fighting for your kids and not feeling your shame. And that turned into advocacy for women. And the tears that I cried into my pillow, it turned into compassion that overflowed into my ministry, even today. I felt like I didn't just make lemonade with the lemons that I was given, but I bought the stalls and the corner shop as well, because I learned this. God is a master recycler, and he rebuilds, he repurposes, he resurrects, and absolutely nothing at all is wasted. I'm not making it up. I'm making it count. Was born through this period. I had to learn resilience and gain strength and courage and have many first times. I don't know about you, but how many first times have you had in your life? But we go through those first times and then they're never again the first time, because we learn how to navigate them and how to make them work in our lives and how to help others know how to do that quicker and easier and save time. Yeah. Movement is the key to breakthrough. For years, I prayed for breakthrough, but the being paralyzed, like I mentioned earlier, by fear or by perfection or by pressure or by the belief that confidence came first, wasn't true. We have to move. We have to make a decision that we're going to move forward, because movement breaks fear and movement creates the miracle. And movement is one step. You just have to make a decision to take one step, not 10, not 20, not 50, just one. Because a single step will shift your direction, and being consistent will then build momentum, and then momentum will make you unstoppable. Because what we're doing today and every day in our life is becoming unstoppable. There were so many things that happened to us that we thought we couldn't do, but here we are, because we're becoming unstoppable. And if we keep on moving we're going to get there. We're going to be where we're placed all of the time. God can steer a moving vessel, but he can't steer a parked one. He can multiply your steps, but he can't multiply what you're doing if you're staying still. There has to be movement. And you don't need to be ready. You just need to be willing. And if you're afraid, do it anyway. Do it afraid. But do it. Move. And it's that journey and that realization and those things that I've learned through the way that the Lord has guided me and instilled me. You know, I've got strength, I've got resilience, but I needed to understand how to be guided as well. Because you need to know what the first step is. It isn't just about stepping out. It's not about blindly moving. It's about understanding the season that you're in and understanding the direction that you need to go to and what is the first step. And that's probably the reason why we stay still, because we don't understand what is the first step. And this is why Unstoppable Pathway exists, because you were never meant to rise alone. You were never meant to walk alone, you know, and there's community that's important. People that are around you, whether they're family or they're friends, people who will hold up your hands and walk the journey with you, people who will tell you the truth and who will help to pull you along when you can't get up. And you need that kind of support. So inside Unstoppable Pathway, we walk together to enable you to rediscover your identity and to break old patterns, to rise with confidence, to strengthen your faith and to rebuild your mindset as you step boldly into your purpose, as you regain the tools that you need to walk forward. You don't need giant leaps. You don't need great big movements. And you don't need billboards or advertisements to say, I'm going to do this or I'm doing that. You make a decision, and you can make a quiet decision with yourself and just walk that out. And just one step, one yes, and one act of courage will change the design of your life and the way that you're going right now. So I'm coming to the end, but before I end, I want you to put your hand on your heart again one more time, because I want you to leave here knowing this: your beginnings are not your boundary. Your limits are not your destiny, and your past is not your identity. Everything that we're going through in life is a climbing frame. Something that we can get over, that we can get through, that we can get under, that we can get over. Something that we can break down, that we can kick out, and we can root out. Because nothing that you've lived is wasted. Excuse me. Sorry, Hilary. Nothing that you've lived is wasted. Not the tears, not the battles, not the waiting. Even if you've been waiting because you felt stuck, there's still something that you've been learning in the journeys. And not even the chapters that you wish you could erase. sometimes we have altercations with people. We say the wrong things. Sometimes people go out of our lives and they slam the door on their way out because we've said or we've done the wrong thing. But not even those chapters, because we learn from them. And hopefully we can redo our mistakes and try to unravel the ways that we've gone wrong. God has used every single part of your story to build the woman that you are, that is wherever you are right now. And I want to tell you that that woman is rising, she's healing, and she's stepping forward because she's becoming unstoppable. And for the first 3 women who contact me at arise2purpose@gmail.com, that's arise and the number 2 purpose@gmail.com, will receive a 30-minute strategy call with me where we will discuss your needs so that we can walk out your first steps together. If you don't know what that is, by the end of the 3rd session, you definitely will, and you'll be on a new walk in your destiny, restoring your purpose. So let's rise together. Let's heal together. And let's move forward together as you ascend into your power. Because you, that's right, you are becoming unstoppable. Thank you.
Sorry, excuse me. Dawn, I thank you so much. Such a great message. I have goosebumps. I've been taking all these notes, and your story resonates so much with me. And I know I said Dawn is from the UK, and she mentions South America. So she's originally from Guyana. So she is an island girl. So she's my neighbor because I'm originally from Trinidad. So I just wanted to say, Dawn, thank you for your message and the work that you're doing with your program. I mean, powerful. I got so much out of this. The not yet is preparation. How much? Who else did that resonate with? Okay. What about God is working behind the scenes? Yes. What about
Yeah.
God is the master recycler? Now,
Yeah. He's upscaling all the time.
yes. I mean, I've just shared some of the breakthroughs that I got from here. The what resonated. So you could. Who wants to share what resonated with them? You can raise your reactive hand, your physical hand. Let's share. What resonated with you? Anything in the chat, Olga? We hear about taking one step. We don't have to make that giant leap. Just take one tiny step. That's where it starts.
Yeah.
Where you start to build momentum. Mother Miranda? Is she unmuted? Mother Miranda, you got your hand up?
Yes, I have my hand up.
Good.
Dawn, what a fantastic presentation you made. Sorry that I'm not able to come on camera, but I listened to you from the opening. Miranda, I'm Jamaican. I'm living here in Canada. So we're Caribbean connection there. Nothing that you have passed through has been wasted. I absolutely love that, and I just want to affirm what you just said. One of the similar comments I make to that, knowledge gained is not lost. It's if you never use it. And
Absolutely.
yes. and the beauty of maturity, which tells me that whatever comes my way, there is a lesson. So, the moping and the pity party, I love to have pretty party. But then I said, all parties come to an end. So take off the dress, take out the ribbons, and get back to work. All parties come to an end. Don't dismiss the pretty party, but redress for the next cause.
Absolutely. I have a friend who actually, when things happen to her, she gets her diary out and she gives herself time. And she
Yes,
says, okay, I'm going to have a pity party until
yes,
this day. And when that date
absolutely.
comes, she moves on.
That's right. Take the dress off, take the ribbons out.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So thank you so much. I did send you an email because I said, no, this is a woman I need to talk with some more.
Thank you. Nice to meet you.
Bless you. Bye-bye.
Okay, do we have any more questions for Dawne? We still have some few minutes. Any other question, any unanswered questions in the chat? Well, I just want to say, Dawne, I thank you. I thank you so much for closing out, for this closing message. I want to thank Christie and Hilary for their message and tying this in. So before we go, we have to announce the winner. Who won Andy's prize?
Right. So the winner for Andy's prize is, I've got two winners, Lucy Rosa Stargy. She didn't guess she was closest, and there was two that were closest. Nobody actually got his exact age, but she was closest. And Emma Newfield was closest as well. So
who's the second one, Hilary?
Emma Newfield.
I don't know. So Olga's gonna
I've got the email, so
okay.
I'll be emailing Lucy. Is that the correct? I think that's correct spelling. Lucy Rosa Stargy, and I'll be emailing Emma Newfield with Andy's details, and they can contact Andy.
So I'm curious, Hilary, what is Andy's age?
Andy is 46.
Andy is 46. Wow. But he
wouldn't be happy at some of the guesses, because some of the guesses were quite a lot. I'm not going to tell him what some of the guesses were.
What, older?
Well, we listen, we thank Andy for the work that he's doing, and I know he's made a difference in your life, in Christie's life, and a lot of other people's lives.
Yeah, and he's very generous because he's actually fully booked. He's fully booked, which is fantastic. And so he was willingly going to give 2 lessons for me. So
okay, I know. Listen, that's what we had to do, right? During COVID, we had to pivot and go do our workout through Zoom. So that's easy breezy now in today's time. So I just want to thank everyone for showing up today. I want to thank again our speakers. I want to thank everyone who participated in asking questions. I want to also say thank you to my co-host Olga, and she's not just my co-host, she's also my business partner. And I want to say thank you to Millie for our collaboration on this program. I mean, this is the next phase of Ascend Your Path. The next journey, and it's going to be this is going to be phenomenal, because the next January of 2027 we're going to be doing an Ascend Your Path in person. So our speakers have the chance now to prepare. Don't just talk about preparation. We talked about Hilary, talked about also preparation, and also Christie. Putting the shoe by the door, preparation. Okay, so we're going to be preparing all year long to really bring Ascend Your Path, January of 2027, to a live stage. And our speakers will share their story and their message to an audience. So Olga got her hand up. Go ahead, Olga.
I would like to take a group picture, please.
Yes,
If you
y'all
could
can
come
come
on
camera.
camera, let's do that.
Oh my
Who can
goodness.
come on camera? We have quite a few people here, so let's do that. Let me lower my hand. Yep. More. I'm waiting for more.
And while you're waiting for more, Olga, we want to talk about our book launch. Our second anthology will be published with this anthology means so much to us. She's so generous, Dr. Forbes Riley, and you heard Christie mention her several times. And when I reached out to her to be our celebrity author, she responded in less than 5 minutes. So, and she was so generous in her offer that we were able to make this offer really generous to our authors from around the world. So we have 23 authors in this anthology plus Forbes. And we're on target to publish either December the 6th or the 13th. So we have to see how things go with Amazon's approval before we decide what date. But in the meantime, we want everyone to really be prepared to support us because the algorithms changes all the time. And we want to make sure we have our strategy in place for launching for this book launch so that we can make it to #1, not just in the US, Amazon #1 bestseller in the US, but around the world. Okay, so to do that, we need your support. So when we reach out to you to say purchase now, which is going to be a generous price as well at $2.99 to get the book, we like to get your support on that. So it's all about strategy, it's planning, and go back to rising tide raises all boats, ships. We all work together. And I know a lot of us, we've been journeying together, and I'm seeing so much results and seeing the growth in each and every one of us. So I just want to say thank you again for supporting us throughout this time, which is almost 5 years. And I would always go back to saying, I really appreciate James McNeil for really giving me this opportunity to share his platform. And now it's our own platform. Even though he never had any restrictions, he says, I sent your next level you back then. He said, next level you, he never had to worry because I did everything, so he just showed up. But I just want to say, I want to thank everyone. And I see Christine Cole, but yeah, that might be Christine Korchak. I might be the wrong Christine. I just want to say, I wanted to say, I'm going to be in Trinidad in the next in another couple of weeks. So I get a chance to see Christine, hopefully. And I see my friend Dominique, hey! Okay. So I just want to say thank you, everyone, for showing up and supporting us on this journey. And 2026, 25 foundation.
Let's take a
A lot
picture.
of things happen.
Let's
Did
take
you get a picture yet?
No. Of course,
Come on,
you're
let's go.
talking, so let's do that. Let's smile all together. Lots of us are here. Hey.
Yes.
Here you go.
Okay. So 2025 was all about foundation, building that foundation, that solid foundation. 2026, explosion. Okay, so I'm praying this for each and every one of us. 2026, explosion year. Okay, thank you all so much for joining us, and I'll see you next month. Oh yeah, Merry Christmas. Here we go. Merry Christmas. Do we have a Dawn? Dawn had her hand up. You want to say something? Okay. Bye everyone. Thank you.
Thank you. See you soon.